Mix off. We are back for another weekly Q&A. Oh my god, you guys, I swear you guys get better looking over time. And interesting times to be alive. I just want to give you guys a little quick update, by the way. I am doing an updated version of this right now. I'm kind of behind the scenes. To what to do in shitty times can actually be the best time of your life. That doesn't mean it's going to be good for everybody, and that sucks and it's unfortunate. But if we are in a recession, I want you guys to fucking win and win big. And as well, just some other cool things that I've kind of improved on and figured out in the last 2 years that are going to be updated. A couple people have said to me, by the way, I told them, they're like, oh, you're just trying to get a couple extra bucks. And I'm like, just so you know, I make like $2-3 every time somebody buys a book, which is not zero, but I sell, shit for like $10,000 a month. So I'd much rather sell $10,000 a month. I'm doing this just because I want to have an awesome guide and resource for it. And one of the things Alex Hermosi actually convinced me of is you're not going to work with 99% of people anyway, but you can still be helpful and useful to them in the form of a book. And I think that's really cool. Like, I've been really inspired by people that I may never work with telling me, like, hey, I just signed a $20,000 client thanks to what you showed me, or things like that. Like that. It might take me a few months, but just letting you guys know that is in the process. So without further ado, get into the questions. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. It's a 1990s wrestling homage, for those of you guys who don't know. The Road Dogg, Jesse James, the badass. Really good. First question, we got Vicente. Says, I was thinking about offering email marketing services to local businesses. Most local businesses don't do email marketing and should not be difficult to convince to these local business owners the value of having, for example, over 10,000 customers on an email list that they can contact anytime to inform them about new discounts, promos, etc. For example, the restaurant owner could offer a 5 to 10% off in the meals if he gives the customer the email address and the permission to be contacted anytime. I have a few questions on how to run this business. One, the owner of the database customer email address would be the owner of the local business, so I guess that anytime he could tell me he no longer needs me, stop paying for my email marketing service or any other ideas. Two, in your opinion, which local business owners would be easiest to convince to sign up for the service? I think restaurant owners and jewelry store owners would be a good option. Other local businesses, that would be a good option to offer this service to. Vicente, there's a lot of loaded stuff into that, so I'm going to kind of like break down a few things that I just see. Like, by the way, if you ask Frankie Finn a question, you're not going to get a simple, straight answer the way everybody else does it. The first thing is, I think there's some assumptions built into there. The first assumption I see is that the idea that you're going to sell an email marketing service, that is your hammer, and I've talked a great deal about the hammer, but nobody wants a fucking hammer. Nobody wakes up in a cold sweat and says, I want email. So make the email be more about the result the email is going to produce. If you're a restaurant, what do you think they want? Do you think they want emails? Like, for example, we have a guy in our mastermind who actually does stuff with that, and what he sells businesses on is, I'm going to book big birthday parties. Do you think it's the email they're buying or the big birthday party booked, right? Or maybe it's they got a slow marketing for you, unless you want to get the door slammed in your face. Nobody cares about the hammer. They want to know what's going to get built by the hammer. Talk about the result. Okay, that's the first thing, is you'll make your life so much easier. As far as your first question, how do I stop business owners from basically shutting me out? Here's the deal. If you know how to sell shit on behalf of a business, they will never shut you out. Ever. Because one, they're too busy to do it themselves, and two, you're such a value add. So instead of thinking about, like, how do I protect myself from them taking my shit and running, thinking about how I can be a source of value and add. In other words, what they really fucking want is to make sales, and how can you help them make sales? Like, you mentioned a restaurant. I can think of a dozen fucking ways off the top of my head to promote a restaurant, right? Hey, we got too many tomatoes today, so we made Mama's pasta from the old country at $6.99 for lunch. Come get this delicious pasta. We got a special today. We got a dessert. We got a live band. We got a cooking class. We're running a catering event. We got a takeout special, right? Hey, it's a holiday, so we're doing this for the holiday, right? There's endless number of reasons for you to reach out to that list over and over. That's a lot of hand activity, but I get a little passionate talking about this stuff. And so don't worry so much about them taken from you. Instead, focus on what you can give, and you will be irreplaceable, and therefore it would be stupid and foolish. And by the way, most local business owners are busy running. Like, if you ran a fucking restaurant ever in your life, I've worked in a couple of restaurants. My first job ever, by the way, was at Red Lobster. I'll tell you, I did not have time to fucking send emails, right? So if you have somebody valuable that can do that, they ain't going to try and cut you out. So it's my way of saying that is less of an issue than you realize. In my opinion, which people would be best for that? Really anybody whose business model lends themselves to repeat business, which is kind of all of them, but especially the ones who need it. We've done this for roofers, so it works in the contracting space. I've done this with lawyers, obviously. I've thought about it actually for years, doing it for restaurants, but I don't know. I don't really necessarily want to work with restaurants. Dentists, doctors, lawyers, butchers, candlestick makers. I mean, literally just drive down the street and look and think who could use email, because pretty much all of them could. This is my preference. I like to sell high-end, high-ticket things with the tools like email. And by the way, I would also add, if you combine that with SMS, it's probably going to get a little bit tighter. But anyways, that's basically it. Is like, don't worry about it. Add some value. Talk about the result, and really, just pick a business. It doesn't really matter which one. They can all use it. Harshit. Oh, that was one more thing, by the way, Vincenti. I just wanted to add: pick a niche so you can reuse the emails you write. Like, don't write custom emails every single fucking time you get a new client. Don't do it once for a restaurant, and then once for a dentist, and then once for a lawyer, whatever. Like, do it so you can reuse the same emails over and over and over. If it works for one dentist, use it for another dentist. You'll make your scaling life a whole bunch easier. Harshit says, how to find the list of advertisers running ads for a certain keyword in a specific area without searching manually, of course. Example, plumber near me, location, Texas. Harshit, the answer is... I'm sure there's other tools, but Coldlytics does this wonderfully. You can put in, here's what I'm looking for. They have the ability to scan for who's advertising on Google and who's advertising on Facebook. They'll save you a whole bunch of time doing that. By the way, I have a training somewhere in this group about how that works, and also there's an affiliate link below it, which will get you a couple of bonus things, like a couple of bonus contacts. You'll get like more bang for your buck kind of thing. So instead of getting like 100 people, I don't know, I think you get like 120. Thank you, Matt McQuinn, for doing that. Very fucking awesome dude. Jenica says, good day. We are planning to run a paid webinar campaign, a group session with a price of $20. It's a walkthrough to one of our online courses. Then after the webinar ends, we will offer 90% discount code for all the attendees if they want to avail our online course. What is the best approach or strategy to sell a webinar? I'm planning to do a conversion campaign. We only have a 700 email list. Janica, this is a very similar question to the first one, in that you're asking, how do I sell a hammer? A webinar is a hammer, right? Like, it's like asking, how do I sell a plane? Nobody wants a plane. They want to get away from the office and the politics and the meetings and the bullshit and the monotony of working and driving in traffic and waking up to an alarm clock. And they want to go to the beach with the bikinis and the babes and the time off and the sunshine and the ocean and the wind through their hair and the palm trees and a beer in their hand and a margarita and a chicks in bikinis, right? So the worst thing you can do is sell the plane and say, we have a wonderful webinar, blah, blah, blah. So here's my answer in a nutshell. In 1 to 3 sentences, describe the result somebody's going to get by watching your webinar. You do that, you'll sell a whole lot, webinars a lot easier. So if you want to look, for example, on my YouTube channel on Beyond Agency Profits, there is a training I did very early on. It's with my old shitty microphone, but I break down my $50,000 a month webinar that we used in the lawyer space and what it is. And the hook is basically like the 5 secrets of the world's most successful attorneys. So it's like we're going to take behind the curtain. Here's a curtain. You can see it, and we're going to show you what the most successful attorneys in the world are doing and what's responsible for their success. In other words, we're going to give you deep insight into what's working the best for people in that space without you having to like figure out 800 different things. We'll just narrow it down to like 3 to 5 things for you. Okay? It's the hook the one big result that they're going to get as a result of watching your webinar. That's how you sell a webinar. The fact that it's a webinar is secondary to like what result it's going to produce. So spend a lot of time thinking about that, because it'll get a lot easier if you think about what result people get as a result of using your course. PJ says, I'm curious, with all the bad economic headlines out there, what do you all do, or what are all of you who work with small local businesses seeing in terms of your client retention and hearing from your clients? PJ, this is just me personally. I see nothing. Having said that, I mean, I'm sure there will be a trickle-down effect. Where I'm actually most excited on a personal level is there's going to be all kinds of like asset buying opportunities fucking galore, like real crazy wealth to be had. The flip side of like shitty times are hard, and I don't wish them on people, but if you understand the game and the rules, the people like us with our skill set, it only gets better in shitty times, and the ability to buy and control assets gets stronger faster. And so like there's no reason it can't be the best time of your life economically on a personal level, and use that to help people in your space who need it. But the short answer is, at least on our end, we're seeing nothing from our clients so far. Ernest says, Facebook ad rep reached out to me wanting to go over my ads for optimization. I had to reschedule the meeting. My question is, do I listen to them? Are they really good with Facebook ads, or are they just interested in me spending money with them? I'm new to this. Ernest, your assertion is correct. Okay, this is true, by the way, of both Google and Facebook reps. If you get them in both, their main goal is to get you to spend money. Having said that, a Facebook ad rep can be useful for having insights into a couple of things. One is banned accounts, disapproved ads, and kind of changes coming next in Facebook. They can be good for those three things. But as far as like what you're going to get out of a phone call, they're just going to try and get you to spend more money. That's their shtick. You're absolutely correct. Oral, our man, this was more of a comment than a question, but I just had some thoughts on it. Dentists are chronically reluctant what concerns upselling to their patients, though they usually want to grow and make more money. How to If you do not suggest further and lucrative additional treatments, you are not helping the patients in the best possible way, which contradicts your ethos. Don't fight the forces, use them. Works fine so far. Really like this, Oral. I mean, obviously, you have my utmost respect because you're fucking genius. Having said that, this is a thing in a lot of businesses where they feel pushy selling their things. And so I like the reframe into up-helping instead of upselling. And there's a way to do it without feeling pushy, and it's to do it with value. And it is a bit of a reframe, because a lot of times we think, oh, they know what I do, and if they need me, they'll come to me. And they actually don't as much as we think. We're out of sight, out of mind. And it's kind of like if you're in a business like a dentist where they really solve problems and things like that, what ends up happening is, like, imagine you drove by somebody on the street and their car was broken down and it was the middle of nowhere, right? So middle of nowhere means they're probably not going to see a lot of cars as they go. Well, you would kind of be a fucking asshole if you just drove by and said, see ya, right? Like, to me, the right thing to do is just to stick your head out the window and say, would you like any help with that? Right? And so it's very key, like it's a frame of up help. Like, yes, you make more money, but it is a side effect of giving more service, of giving more value, of putting more useful shit into the marketplace. So having your dentist do it, instead of from a position of begging for money, but of thinking like, what else could I add to the life of my patients? If you do it from that perspective, instead of thinking about it as a take and a give, like a lot of people frame sales as a take. And if when you reframe it to a give, sales are easy, actually, because every time you make a sale, you're giving more value. Like for real, if you show up, like, in simple terms, this is not the only way to give value, but like, for example, if somebody pays you $1,000 and then you turn around and hand them back $20,000, like, are you going to feel bad about it? Probably not, right? Like, obviously, that's probably not a legitimate scenario, but just making the point, right? Like, that's a give. Like, every time you ask $1,000, you give $20,000, right? Like, you want to get into that situation where you're giving 10, 20 times the value of whatever your price is, and then the dentist never needs to feel bad about it. But it's reframing it as, what can I give to my patient instead of what can I take? And the more you're, like, out there giving and giving and giving, up helping, as you put it, the easier that process is going to be, and the less it has to be this formal, traditional, pushy sales kind of thing. We got two questions from our man Payesh. Payesh says, can you tell me whether it has a solid offer or not on its homepage? He's referring to his website. It's basically an automated property listing generator built by AI that gives real estate agents and owners property listing for just $20 after filling a survey, whereas getting it done by a good writer may cost hundreds of dollars. The quality is as good as human. Can you tell me what modifications I can make on the homepage or advise my client to do so when running Facebook ads so we are profitable? The site is on WordPress. Should I advise him to shift to ClickFunnels? Frankie, if you have some free time, would you mind giving your thoughts too? Thanks a lot. Payesh, here's my thoughts on it, okay? It sounds cool. Value for people, like I know we use that word, and one of those is time and another of those are energy, right? So like if you save somebody time and energy, you're creating value. Like your tool sounds like it saves them time and energy of having to write it, and it sounds like it's also cheaper than whatever the alternatives. Now, having said that, I imagine you're going to get some kind of objection of like, I don't know if it's going to be as good. AI sounds kind of sketchy to me and things like that. And you're saying it's as good as human. So what you mentioned, getting them over the hurdle of like, let me just give you one free listing, try it out, and you can see for yourself. That's what I would do. And then what I would do is take it a step further, is I would proactively approach busy real estate agents with a lot of listings already, because those are going to be the ones who would benefit. Not somebody who's like, 'cause this is the thing, right? There's a spectrum of clients in any niche. If you try and get a real estate agent who's just starting out and does it on weekends and it's a hobby more than a business, and they sell a house, once, twice a year, they're not probably going to pay you anything to save money on a listing because they don't have a bunch of listings. But you compare that to like a broker of record who has 50 agents under them and they're putting up fucking 20 listings a day, every day. That's going to be a lot more valuable. So that's the person I would reach out, is make sure put it in front of the right person. And I would be proactive. I wouldn't necessarily use Facebook ads, though you can. Is I would like literally go on the MLS, find real estate agents that have a bunch of fucking listings and say, hey, I noticed you're writing a lot of listings. I have a tool that will auto-generate these for you. They're as good as human. I know this probably sounds a little scary, so I'd love to just give you one free one and you can try it and see if it'll save you a whole bunch of time and energy of having to write these things and pay content writers and things like that. Would you like to have one freebie? That's how I would do it, is proactively get it in people's hands. So hope that's helpful to you. You got another question here that says, I had this question in mind, like we could profitable. So what should we do in this case? Should we build the sales funnel too of the company or just advise it to do certain things? Peter, what do you do when you run Facebook ads for businesses who don't have a good sales funnel? Can you build it on normal WordPress hosting sites? Do you advise them to move to ClickFunnels and you build theirs for a premium? Let me know what you think. Okay, so there's a couple of things to break down in this here, Payesh. I need a big drink of water. Number one is, okay, we are not creators of people's success as marketers, and this is hard to get away from, because like you want to see yourself as a hero where you take a business that's struggling and you blow them up. But the truth is we are amplifiers of success. And when you understand that, the goal is not to take a company that has zero successful offers and zero successful funnels and zero successful sales and turn them into something. The goal is to take companies that are doing well and help them do mo better, right? Like you want to take companies that would be successful without you and amplify them. Now, having said that, maybe there are reasons why you want to work with a company that's kind of like, it sounds like they're starting at zero. And one of the reasons, could be it's a friend, or you believe in the product, or it's new, or whatever. But in those cases, you got to do some very, very hardcore expectation setting. Expectations are 4 things, by the way: results, time, cost, communication. Those 4 things, okay? And you got to be really, really key about this, because if they go in thinking like, and this is often the mindset of a client, is like, if I just turn on the Facebook ads or the TikTok ads or whatever, I'm gonna get rich. In reality, it's just gonna bring speed to whatever they're doing, and if their offer isn't working, it'll just show them that their offer isn't working, but faster, right? So you want to be really, really clear about what to expect. That all you're gonna do is put them out there, get some data, and kind of see where that's ultimately, like, going to take them. But you don't want to bullshit them into, like, you're going to be a millionaire as soon as you turn on the Facebook ads, which a lot of people do, and we're going to get you guaranteed 4 times ROAS. But I would tell you in the future, a much bigger key to your success is not like how to handle situations like that, is choosing clients that are already doing well in the first place. This is counterintuitive because a lot of the reason why people don't is if you're starting out and you're just running Facebook ads for the first time, or you're new, or maybe you don't have a ton of confidence with it, it can be really intimidating to reach out to a company that you know is doing 30 million a year and say, I have an idea for you. And you think, what am I to show them? Well, what could I possibly add of value to them? It's really the opposite. Bigger companies have bigger marketing problems, and more successful companies have more need for what you're doing. So as a general rule, I would say don't try and be the hero and take companies from 0 to something. And if you do, be very, very hardcore about setting expectations. But I'll probably warn you now that that interaction is probably not going to work out the way you hope. Like, I know you probably get into every situation, like wanting to help every client and create something awesome for them. But in my experience, that person probably has more mindset issues than you may realize. And I'll give you an example of this, okay? When I first started, I didn't know this very thing that I'm explaining to you now. And I remember I got my first lawyer in 2016 was a lawyer named Tony. Tony was like a really fucking cool guy. Like, I really just, like, even today, like, I just want to hug this guy. He's just like, he was a genuine, honest, I want to help people kind of lawyer. So when I took on Tony as this single lawyer, he's in Pennsylvania, I didn't think about all the details. And what ended up happening was Tony was a lawyer. So that meant about 50% of the time when somebody would call our from our ad, Tony answered his own phone. He didn't have like a secretary or anything. And he was in court, so he just didn't answer the phone. Then the other 50% of the time when Tony did answer the phone, he didn't know what to say to people, and he was often really busy between courts, so he didn't know how to close them. Like, I can remember Tony having phone calls like, hey, somebody said, I'm calling about a drunk driving, like, how much does it typically cost? He gives them the cost, and he says, hey, is there anything else that you wanted to know? Okay, bye, and he hangs up the phone, right? Instead of like, hey, would you like to schedule a consultation with me? And he's probably just busy in between court, but what I learned from working with people like Tony is it's really hard to help someone like Tony because of all the reasons you mentioned. He doesn't have a working offer. He lacks the sales system. Even when he gets leads, he doesn't know how to handle the leads. So there's like 18 different hurdles. I would much rather work with a business that's figured out the phone, that's figured out a lot of things, and then Facebook ads just add fuel to what they're doing. You'll generally find those clients end up a lot happier with you, and they pay you longer, and they stay. Josh says, how often are you creating content? Josh, I got a couple of businesses and we put out varying amounts of content. You know, I've actually been working on stepping up Big Daddy's content game. And let me tell you something about this is Gary Vee was actually really helpful in this. I'm not Gary Vee's biggest fan. I like the guy. I don't love the guy. But one of the things he said that I thought was really smart is document, not create content. Document, do not create content. And so what that means for me is I think about doing content while I'm just living life. So if I did something for a client, that's content in my lawyer niche. If I, had a situation or a conversation, that's like a lot of my content literally comes from conversations I have with people, things like this. And so, but I'm looking at it, how do I document? And Gary said something that was really interesting. He said, like, some young entrepreneur comes into my office, gets to meet with me, and we talk for 20 minutes, and I kind of, give them a little bit of inspiration. And I have somebody tape that, and I turn it into little micro content as well. And so when I put it out, I might have like 50 videos made out of that, and posts and Instagram and Pinterest. And so it looks like I'm all over social media and I'm creating tons of content. But in my reality, I just spent 20 minutes having a conversation. And that's really all I did, right? Like, other people take that and edit it. So that's my process for content, is to document. And then the second thing I would say is I batch a lot. So I might shoot 10, 20 minutes of video all in a row and then drip feed those, and they get posted every day by my VAs and things like that. And they get released. But I'm actually not putting out nearly as much content as it looks like. So those are kind of my two secrets, is I document, and I should say 3 secrets. I document, not create, and then we have like a distribution machine to like put out that content. And so it gets posted every day, but I'm not the one doing it. right? So it's just inspired by real life. And I should also add, with content, I do it when I feel like it. I don't know how to do that around here. But that's worked for me, and then I can batch produce things, and I can make like 2 weeks worth of content in 30 minutes, and I felt like doing it, so it's like it's not even really work. So I'll just film like on my phone, like I'll be at the beach, and for those of you guys who follow me on YouTube, know that I just like, I'm just walking around living life, and I make 10 little videos in a row. So hope that's helpful to you guys in your creating content, because it's useful to get people on a list and follow up with them over time with content. Once you have an offer dialed in, and once you have a niche of people you're sure you want to work with, then content, building an audience, to me is the next logical step, so that you build a real long-term asset. That's all the questions we have. For those of you guys who missed the beginning, just a little quick update. I am doing some updates to this book. It'll probably take me 3-4 months to actually do it, but I want to add in some things for you guys, just based on stuff we figured out over the last 2 years, Loom videos, things like that, and also just like I've been working with you guys longer, and also some things for like recession proofing your business, because I think recessions on a personal level can be really fucking great. That's when the greatest number of multimillionaires are created. So I don't cheer for recessions, because a lot of family members and friends to succeed in this. So like, I want to create a resource and a tool that you guys can go back to again and again and use. So I'm going to be adding some cool shit to it, and I'll let you guys know when the updates are made. And of course, if you have the digital version, you get it. If not, you'll have to go on Amazon and drop the $10 or whatever to get a new one. But I'm happy to give you guys a PDF if you already bought it as well. You don't have to buy it if you don't need to, if you're cool with that. So anyways, enough of me rambling. That's all I got for you guys this week. May the force be with you. Much love. I don't know why I'm kissing you, but I am. We're happy. We're moving into a big house, so life is in boxes today, but good time to be alive.